Hey everyone, it's me again. Hope you're all doing good. So yeah, today I wanted to talk about Classic Plus, or more specifically, the deeply unhealthy amount of time the WoW community has spent collectively daydreaming about something Blizzard still refuses to officially acknowledge exists. But that would be too big a title for this video, so at this point, Classic Plus feels less like a game announcement and more like a cryptid sighting. Everybody swears they've seen evidence, nobody can fully prove it, and every few months somebody posts something or tweets something or whatever, and the entire community loses its mind for a week. Which honestly is very on brand for us. And after the recent news, people are spiraling again. So let's start with part 1, which is the non-announcement. Yeah, Blizzard almost announced something about WoW Classic recently. And by almost, I mean they spent 40 minutes aggressively saying nothing while the Classic community sat there zooming into PowerPoint slides like conspiracy theorists trying to find hidden coordinates. There was that whole State of Azeroth presentation. Retail was obviously the star of the show, which makes sense, it's the main product. Housing alone is probably going to print money directly into Blizzard's bloodstream, no shock there. And Classic got acknowledged the same way you acknowledge a cousin at a family reunion. Quick nod, glad you could make it, back to important people. But there was definitely a moment there. It felt like somebody was about to accidentally say too much, and then suddenly, Holly, no!
Bruh.
Instant shutdown. Emergency brakes engaged because they really said basically nothing. Not even the safest possible confirmation like, yeah, mists will probably lead into warlords eventually. Nothing. Not even that. And honestly, that's weird because Classic it's doing kind of fine right now. Era servers, stable as ever, like frozen in time but solid community. Hardcore, tiny but immortal, like a mold colony that achieved sentience. TBC anniversary, actually it's popping off. Kinda in between patches right now, but it's good. And even Season of Discovery got a little population bump after anniversary content sits in between patches. So Blizzard clearly knows people still care, which makes the silence feel intentional. Because Blizzard silence is never normal silence, it's rogue stealth silence. You don't see anything, but you know something's behind you about to sap your healer. And at this point, everybody knows what people are waiting for. Classic Plus, the thing Blizzard refuses to say out loud like it's Beetlejuice. So yeah, if they won't talk about it, we absolutely will. That leads us to part 2, the "oh, they could totally do this" moment. And honestly, the biggest reason people started huffing dangerous amounts of Classic Plus copium is because of the Diablo stuff. At least I think so. I mean, only I think that. I don't know, I haven't checked much of. So, whatever, because Blizzard went up there and casually announced a brand new content for Diablo 2. Diablo 2. That game is ancient. I'm pretty sure parts of that code database were written in parchment or something by a wizard who has since transformed into pure electricity and now lives inside a server rack somewhere. And yet Blizzard's still adding actual new content to it. Not just maintenance patches either. Real content, new class and everything, which immediately made every WoW Classic player go, okay, hold on now, because if Diablo 2 can get meaningful new content over 20 years later, then suddenly Classic Plus stops sounding impossible, right? Right? Now, it just sounds suspiciously plausible. And then you look back at Season of Discovery differently too, because Blizzard literally called SOD a testing ground, a sandbox, sort of a let's see what breaks first experiment. At first, it was smaller stuff: runes, class changes, boss tweaks, weaponized chaos. Then, suddenly, they added entire new content into the vanilla framework: new systems, new dungeons, new sets, and by the end, a whole new zone and a brand new Scarlet Crusade raid. Messy? Oh, absolutely, but very important nonetheless, because now we know they can do it. That's the scary part. Classic Plus used to sound like one of those late night MMO fantasies you ramble about at 3 a.m. while staring at talent trees and ruining your own mental health. Now, it kind of feels like Blizzard might actually be building the runway already. And here we come to part 3: Control Delusion Hours. Alright, wishlist time. Which is dangerous, because this is where MMO players become amateur game directors after one cup of coffee. So let's get delusional responsibly. New classes? Honestly, probably not. And low-key, that's fine. Classic's class identity is part of the magic, right? The roster feels iconic. Messing with that too hard starts turning the whole thing into retail with fake mustache. But new specs? Oh, now we are talking. Because SOD already kicked the door wide open on that concept. Tank warlocks, tank shamans, healer mages, and people loved it because it felt weird in the very specific old Blizzard kind of way. So why stop there? Why not? I don't know, rogue tanks? Do we already have rogue tanks in SOD? I don't know. Why not healer hunters? Whatever. I want experiments. I want slightly cursed ideas. I want talent trees that make people say, this feels illegal. But there's also a danger there, because if Blizz tests everything publicly before Classic Plus launches, then when the real thing arrives, people just go, oh yeah, we already played this part, and suddenly the magic disappears a little. Which means I've now argued against my own point halfway through making it. Classic community moment. Anyway, quests absolutely need to happen. And not giant cinematic Marvel movie quests either. I mean classic quests, new classic quests. Dirty little goblin errands, morally questionable tasks, killing 14 boars because some farmer refused to build a fence. That's the good stuff. And the important thing is exploration. People forget this now because WoW has been solved 17 times over, but vanilla originally felt mysterious. Nobody knew where anything was. At least it was like that for me when I first played it. I know I got laced into the game, into Classic, but I had to look at YouTube for tips, okay? So half the player base was lost constantly back in the day. Quest text was basically written like somebody giving you directions during a gas leak, and it ruled. Classic Buzz has a once-in-a-generation opportunity to bring that feeling back. No optimized routes, no meta, no second monitor guide like telling you exactly where every herb node is located within 12 seconds of launch. Just confusion, adventure, and dying to murlocs again like nature intended. Dungeons and raids need that same energy too. More 10-man content, more weird little side raids, more stuff that feels social instead of logistical warfare. Because once raid sizes get too massive, the experience stops feeling like an adventure and starts feeling more like managing a small medieval tax department. And please, for the love of Azeroth, no flying mounts. I'm begging, everyone is begging, flying mounts absolutely atomize world immersion. Classic works because the world matters. You travel through it, you run into people, you get distracted. You get murdered by a rogue named Stabatha while trying to turn in quests in Stranglethorn. That friction is part of the identity. Flying turns Azeroth into an airport terminal. Nobody talks, nobody travels, everybody just teleports emotionally from objective to objective like disconnected ghosts with engineering mounts. Absolutely not. And now we got to the last part, the actual dream. Okay, no, but seriously, this is the real fantasy. New zones. Not planets, not alternate dimensions, not the cosmic realm of ultra-death created before reality itself, just Azeroth. More Azeroth. That's the sauce, because vanilla, well, already feels full of unfinished mysteries. Mount Hyjal sitting there for like years, just saying, hey man, don't look behind the curtain. Gilneas, locked up like Blizzard forgot a key. Ajara, looking half-finished forever. Random mountain passes that clearly feel like they were supposed to lead somewhere someday. Classic Azeroth is basically a museum of abandoned ideas. And honestly, that's exciting because Classic Plus doesn't need to reinvent WoW, it just needs to continue Vanilla's original fantasy of a massive world that still has secrets hiding inside it. Imagine logging in on launch day and suddenly there's an entirely new road through wetlands leading somewhere nobody has ever been. No guides, no add-ons, no wowhead comments from 2007 telling you the exact optimal path. Just thousands of players wandering around like confused medieval tourists. That's magic, and honestly, I'd love if Classic Plus never left Azeroth at all. No Outland, no time travel, no multiverse nonsense, no fighting existential abstract concepts named like stuff like Zalgoroth, the infinite devourer of reality. Just grounded fantasy adventure. I'm talking Defias Brotherhood, Scarlet Crusade, Troll Ruins, Dark Forest, weird caves with lore nobody fully understands. Keep the scale intimate, because vanilla at its best always felt like less like saving the universe and more like something terrible is happening in that forest, and honestly we should probably check it out. That atmosphere is impossible to replicate once the story starts escalating into cosmic anime cutscene territory. And leveling needs to stay important too. Not a tutorial, not a speed bump, the actual game. Give us more leveling dungeons. Maybe even leveling raids, God knows what. Because some of the best memories in Classic are complete disasters. A group falling apart after 2 pulls, the healer disconnecting, one warrior marking targets like he's commanding a military operation while everybody ignores him. That chaos is weirdly beautiful. That's the real MMO sauce. And that brings me to another point, which is the community has already designed it. And because there's the survey. Yeah, the survey. Which honestly feels less like community feedback and more like the player base accidentally assembling the Dead Sea Scrolls of Classic Plus design philosophy. Around 36,000 responses, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a survey anymore, that's a civilization. That's tens of thousands of players collectively looking at Plus and going, hey, so we finished the homework for you. And the wild part, the answers were actually reasonable. Like shockingly reasonable, because people weren't asking for vanilla 2, they weren't asking for retail light either. Most players basically want vanilla but expanded carefully. New content at level 60, horizontal progression, more world, more dungeons, more raids, more reasons to exist in Azeroth without invalidating the original game. And somehow the community managed to agree on a lot of it, which is terrifying, because WoW players cannot agree on anything. You could ask the community what color grass is, and somebody would write a 14-page forum post explaining why grass peaked in patch 1.12. But here, clear signals. People want new raids, new zones, maybe new races, more content but built in the vanilla style instead of replacing vanilla entirely. And class feedback was basically, please fix bad specs without turning everybody into identical action figures, which honestly feels fair. Then came the quality of live discussions, which were incredibly funny because the community response was basically, Yes, we want convenience, but also we fundamentally do not trust you. Dual spec? Sure. Account-wide attunements? Okay. Dungeon Finder? Depends on how cursed it is. That's the classic community in one sentence right there. Players want improvement. They just don't want the soul of the game quietly evaporating in the process. And then there's the sacred absolutely not list. No flying, no level scaling, no third faction nonsense. Those weren't suggestions, those felt like legally binding threats. And despite all the arguing and the paranoia, all the forum warfare, almost everybody still said they'd try Classic Plus, because at this point the idea was fully escaped containment. Classic Plus isn't just a wish list anymore, it's become this shared MMO hallucination the community collectively lives inside now, and Blizzard knows it. There's no way they don't know it. The demand exists, the blueprint is there, the audience exists. At this point, we're basically sitting outside Blizzard HQ holding a boombox over our heads, waiting for somebody to acknowledge us. And until they do, we speculate. We overanalyze interviews like conspiracy theorists. We stare at bloody presentation slides looking for hidden clues. We lose our minds every time a developer says the word Azeroth with unusual emphasis. And honestly, that's kind of fun too, because whether Classic Plus happens or not, the dream itself already feels weirdly real. And maybe that's why people can't stop talking about it. It's not just nostalgia anymore, it's potential. And WoW players, oh, we can survive on potential for years. Tragically.